All right, hey, here is a quick little video on how to get a blurry edge, kind of that fine, little subtle blurry edge. And I've intentionally created a nice hard edge right here between this little froggy's back leg and the background. And let's say I did that, and I didn't realize that in the photo, I feel like there's a little bit of an out of focus blur along the edge right back there. So that's what we're going to try to make a little repair here. So I'm satisfied with the color that I have in there. It's kind of that yellowy green with some of the blues and reds and purples and things inside where the darker shade is there. But we're going to be working right there. The colors I'm going to use are the same ones that I've used in the leg. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of this yellowy green, and I call it a stitch. And what I mean by a stitch is if you have, let me move this out of the way, if you have a color here and a color right next to it, and they don't have a blurred edge between them, I'm just going to kind of go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That's real sloppy, but that's the idea, kind of like you were stitching two things together. Okay, but it's going to be really small. But that's the idea, just to kind of run right up and down there, and there'll be another little tip or two as we go. So I need to make sure my red that I just picked up is not going to touch the paper. So you really have to lean over and see where you're working, and it's just this little kind of back and forth right across that. I'm trying to push some of the dark stuff onto the leg and some of the leg out into the dark stuff. And sometimes I'll do it with a little tapping. So that's almost too obvious right now, okay? But that's all right. I'm going to kind of go back over it lightly. I'm just going to do right around this corner because I'm not ready to down here. Sometimes a little bit of white, just kind of tapping on there, helps with that. Again, now that is almost too obvious, right, that you stitched it. Now comes your finger. And I'm just gonna like go a little, just a little boom, 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 boom in a couple of different directions. I'm not constantly rubbing. I can go along with the line, or I can go this way and a little bit of each. And that kind of softens it off back there. See, it doesn't look quite so obvious now that it's blurry. Now that, if you just notice that, it looks like, that looks weird, just right there. But once I get more of it done, and in comparison to the sharp edge that's right next to it, and I think I went a little dark on the inside right there, so I'm going to use a little bit of white to push that back. There we go. And that's all there is to it. So you can think about stitching two colors together. Now, to avoid having to do that, the best thing to do, let me get a darker color so you can see it, is when you're going to do that, automatically first give it a fuzzy edge. And let's take that red back here again. And let the red also, if you're going to let these two blur together, let this also have a kind of a fuzzy edge. But with oil pastel, you see the little sparkly bits coming through. So let's take our little bit of white, a little bit of red. And again, I'm kind of stitching, and a little bit of a finger back and forth. And then you can get two colors to kind of blur into each other a little bit. And again, that doesn't look like much until it's in the same picture as some nice hard edges. So hopefully that helps you make the blurry edge. Fuzzy backgrounds, out of focus backgrounds really help the elements in the foreground really kind of pop and move forward, where the blurry stuff recedes and goes back. Sometimes the blurry stuff is in front and the focus is in the back. And then it's out of focus again behind that. So just depends on your image. Anyway, hope that worked for you. Practice that. Practice that a couple times on scratch paper before you work on your final. All right, see you soon.